tornado. One can see that from Sisseton right through the area just north of Big Stone, that is all a solid line of gusty thunderstorms with the potential for spin-ups along the way. We see these little hiccups here. We also see this backward C shape here. That's an indication of some very strong and gusty straight line winds with the storm. So I take a look at the rotation in the storm being picked up by the radar that's over here in Aberdeen. Where you see greens is wind blowing straight towards Aberdeen, reds wind blowing away. So along that entire line we have this spin going on along that boundary. Also 80-mile-per-hour straight line winds along that entire line, because we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in the same area, along with that radar indicated potential for tornadoes that will spin up or could spin up anywhere along this boundary where we have the greens right next to the reds there. That's the shear or the spin that we're talking about. How are we?
Has something on his feet.
Okay, so what we'll do now, moving back to the storm that is making its way into Britain, let's take a listen. Eric Whitehill, want to double check with you in the Britain area. Summer Schnellbach is with you. You guys are positioned as the storms are approaching Britain. What do you see, Eric?
Hey Hutch, right now Summer and I are watching the storms making their way into Britain. We're seeing a very unusual feature and we're not sure what it is, but we're watching it very closely because it's very low to the ground and it does have a funnel-like shape. And we're trying to figure out if this is a potential funnel as it's coming into Britain, or if this is just scud that we see floating around. But there's definite rotation in the clouds as this storm is approaching Britain. We can see the rotation in the clouds, Hutch. So tornado warnings very much warranted. And so if you are in Britain, you do need to seek shelter right now. Don't wait. Get into the lowest, most interior part of your home, because we're seeing a lot of rotation here, Hutch. We're seeing some rotation. Back to you.
Thank you. Can you guys put Eric's shot behind me? I want to point out what it is he's looking at because it's hard to see in that shot. So if you can get that behind me, make it happen, that would be great. But there is some low clouds that are moving in one direction. You look at the other side, they're moving the other direction. So there is some spin right along that boundary. We were showing you the greens next to the reds. So you're looking here at these clouds that are moving right by them, and back here there's a lowering of the cloud base right there, and that's what he's looking at, trying to distinguish between scud. What's scud? That's those, well, they're kind of like clouds that are not attached to the parent thunderstorm, and they're just drifting around down there. Here's a flat thunderstorm base, and oftentimes we'll see a lowering of that flat thunderstorm base, and he sees things like this that are lowering down to the ground. So keeping his eyes on the rotation, the storm is showing rotation. The scud clouds nearest the camera moving this way. In the background, you can see them moving in the opposite direction. Our eyes are on the ground there. Summer Schnellbach and Eric Whitehill, please stay. Wow, right there. That's pretty safe. You can see this little guy here. There's a lot of rising going on into it there, but it's not spinning tightly right now. That's something you can see. So trained eye, spotter class, by the way, in the Fargo area was scheduled for tonight for spotter training. That's been canceled. Too busy tonight to train. So watching this lowering cloud base here for any rotation. We're seeing the rotation in the broadside scale of the storm, but we are not seeing anything in contact with the ground. Eric, or excuse me, Nathan?
New warning out for Richland, Sargent, Wilkin, Ottertail counties.
What kind of warning?
Severe thunderstorm.
Okay.
70-mile-per-hour tornado possible.
Okay, so let's go back to the Max computer. And if we can join our other networks in progress here, we've got active tornado warnings moving into Britain, South Dakota. We've got active tornado warning for Sisseton, South Dakota, and new thunderstorm warnings for parts of Ottertail County, including Fergus Falls, for this line of windy thunderstorms that's making its way up. If we see areas of tight rotation, these may quickly be upgraded to tornado warnings. So anyone in this area now, this includes Ottertail County, Fergus Falls down towards Dalton here on I-94, right into that Grant County area. If you're in Herman, if you are in Elbow Lake, that's including you as well. And areas south of Fargo in Richland County, so you're talking Lidgerwood, you're talking Wahpeton, you're talking Breckenridge. These areas are all included in this new thunderstorm warning. Notice this, it's a considerable threat and a tornado is possible. So because we have a tornado watch and we've got that spin in the atmosphere we were showing you, a tornado can form fairly quickly. want to point out that as you look off to the east, just on the edge of our viewing area, we've got a tornado warning here that's in white. That indicates to Hutch that we've got a tornado that's confirmed on the ground in the area. So this line of storms that is curly queuing back here towards Wilmer, producing tornadoes, it's producing gusty straight line winds. So we have, I know it's a lot to look at and it's a little bit on the confusing side. We have a huge area of thunderstorm warning, that's the orange box, but embedded in this line of thunderstorms are these tight rotating confirmed tornado here, working its way north and east towards the areas north of Wilmer. And here's a look at what we have going on for Fergus Falls. Here's the line of storms. And as we take you off towards Wheaton, you're on the edge of these storms. Wheaton, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, as is Breckenridge. That's the orange box that encompasses basically all of southeast North Dakota and northeast South Dakota. And if you're on our other networks, we are joining you with the update. Thank you, Nathan. Summit, South Dakota, reporting an 84-mile-per-hour gust. We've had gusts in parts of South Dakota here with 105-mile-per-hour gusts. Also a 98 at Clear Lake mile-per-hour gusts. So this straight line winds from this storm are very, very strong. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those areas of rotation along this line once again and see if we can depict any of strong rotation. Okay, so our team positioned right in Britton, South Dakota. We may have to check back with them. Okay, can you repeat that, please? Okay. All right, so for our viewers on KVLY and Wheel of Fortune viewers, we are letting you know that we have tornado warnings that are active right now. We have a team on the ground in Britton, South Dakota, Eric Whitehill, Summer Schnellbach positioned, rotating storm right here, just off to the west of the Britton area. And over Britton and near Britton, we've got this area of greens and reds. Greens means we have wind that's blowing very rapidly toward the radar in Aberdeen. The reds, wind that's blowing away. So there is shear or spin along this entire boundary of storms as it moves northward. So we can see that. That does not mean a tornado is on the ground at every one of these points, but it just means it's spinning. There is a tornado warning for a huge area that goes all the way back towards Sisseton, because anywhere along this gusty line of storms, we could get a spin up. So if we can check with Eric Whitehill again with his video feed and see what they're seeing in Britton, South Dakota. And Nathan, would you dial in the Dakota Magic Casino cam and see what we can see on that as well? So Eric Whitehill, Summer Schnellbach, Hutch Johnson here checking in with you. First of all, are you seeing anything different on the base of that thunderstorm cloud as it makes its way by you and into your area in Britton?
Hey Hutch, right now, no, that area that we were watching that was exhibiting the signs of rotation has moved through the city of Britton, it appears. Now we are starting to get hit with some very strong winds, over 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. Here comes another big gust. Lots of cloud to ground lightning, some very small hail, I would say maybe pea-sized hail at most. But no signs of a tornado. It does look like the city of Britton still does have power for right now. But we are watching this storm as it comes through Britton. And as soon as this storm passes, we're going to look and see if we can find any damage. Hopefully there's not going to be any, but we're going to go and look and then start to follow this storm all the way up back into North Dakota. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks for the report. You guys stay safe. So here's the leading edge of the storm, and right along that boundary there, we've got the wind blowing this way that was shown by the green colors towards Aberdeen, and then on the other side of the line, the wind is coming back very quickly the other way. So a lot of shear or spin along that, moving right through Sisseton, right through Britton. We did not see anything on the ground or in contact with the ground in Britton as it crosses over into parts of southeast North Dakota here shortly, and we have our camera trained at the Dakota Magic Casino to see this activity near Sisseton. Our camera's right here, right at exit 1 on I-29, and that is where we'll have that first view as these cross into North Dakota. Severe thunderstorm warning, though, for this line of storms that is producing the potential for some gusty winds. And I do want to point out
a new tornado warning, new Effington, Wheaton.
Oh yeah, okay, new tornado warning is right here. Okay, so the Wheaton area, right here off to the east, this line of storms right here is producing a tornado warning. The National Weather Service saying, yep, there's some spin in that. Let's take you down and get a look at that. So if you are in Wheaton, it's time to take your tornado precautions. and see, here we go. Okay, so the storm is moving northward. It's about 40 miles per hour, and it is on your doorstep. See this little backward C shape. So there's going to be, at the very least, some, this is called a bow echo. And it's when the hail and the rain collapses out of the storm and it expands and spreads that way, and it causes the storm to kind of bend in the direction the wind is blowing. So you can expect a wind that is going to be from the south, and that wind could be extra strong. We've had reports of gusts over 100 miles per hour from these storms tonight. So in Wheaton, batten down the hatches. There is also spin along this entire boundary here as this line of storms is blowing northward. And we can get a quick spin up of a tornado, and we could even see a pretty strong tornado, although we've been watching for that throughout the evening with looking at our velocities that Doppler radar can present to us in a different color scheme, if you will. Reds would be motion away, greens motion towards. So right here, not far from Beardsley, just north as we go up towards Wheaton, along this entire boundary here, we've got reds next to greens. There's your skinny little tornado warning along that whole boundary. So moving into Wheaton, we have some pretty strong rotation here where we have the bright reds or the pinks next to the bright greens, and that's moving up northward, and it's moving north at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So it's a radar indicated potential tornado that will be moving in towards Wheaton. And let's get you a little bit of a time on that couplet or rotation that's moving in your direction. I think my computer is, here we go. Thinking hard. Okay, so if you are in Wheaton, 7:08, so here in just a few minutes, take your tornado precautions, get to that interior room of a sturdy structure. If you are in a mobile home, manufactured home, if you're in a camper or RV, out at the lake, Big Traverse Lake out here, if you are in that area, get out of those type of structures and seek shelter in something more sturdy. Because even if the straight line winds in excess of 70 miles per hour hit, it can do damage to mobile homes and manufactured homes. These are intervaled by 15 minutes, so you can kind of get a picture for how long it will take for the storms to go from Wheaton. Then another 15 minutes, it'll be through White Rock and on towards Fairmount. And we'll keep you apprised of whether or not the rotation continues. We have a lot of viewers that are in Fergus Falls, and you are also in a thunderstorm warning at this time. It's not a tornado warning, but it is a bunch of thunderstorms that are moving in your general direction. I think, Nathan, I'm going to need your help. Can you take over and put me back on? Thank you. So if you want to just grab the 5 site and clear this out and get us into Fergus Falls so we can see what's coming their way. Here's the line of storms. Thank you so much. This line of storms here moving into the southern and western corner of Grant County, pushing in towards Herman and Elbow Lake and eventually Fergus Falls. Is moving northward at 40 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and time that out for you. You can see this 40 miles away from Fergus Falls. So it's an hour-ish away from you in Fergus Falls. You have time to prepare for gusty straight line winds, for the potential for some hail upwards of 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter, and gusty straight line winds that could exceed the 70 mile per hour mark for the night. So there's the line of storms moving northward. They're moving at 40 miles per hour. Tornado warning, it looks like, issued for Roberts and Traverse County, Ross, Holt, and Wheaton. That's this box that's right here. I'm trying to see if that's white. No, it's it's an observed tornado now. So Roberts and Traverse County, we have an observed tornado. And well, let me get as much information on that to you as I can right away. So.
Train spotter reports a tornado. Brief tornado touchdown at 6:52 p.m. in the 5 miles outside New Effington in Roberts County. Was that train spotter reported a tornado in that area?
Okay, so a tornado reported 5 miles south, New Effington.
5 southeast.
Yeah, and so we're looking at this area here, and there is a spotter that has reported a tornado on the ground. So if you're in Wheaton, or along this leading edge moving northward, is a confirmed tornado on the ground that's moving towards Wheaton right now, moving out of the New Effington area, moving north at 40 miles per hour. It's imperative that you take those tornado precautions. And I'll go ahead and see if my remote computer here will allow me to do anything at all.
What do you need?
There we go. Okay, so a big picture view Here's New Effington, so the storm on the I-29 corridor that has passed through Sisseton. Let's go to the Dakota Magic Casino camera, and that is right up the road from this, and let's take a look down into the storm. So go ahead and zoom out on that, and when we have an opportunity to put up the Dakota Magic Casino camera from our Skycam network,
I got it.
it's moving right in. Okay, there it is. So here's the storms. Let's pan left. See this guy right here, the lowering? Okay, so you got this kind of clear area under the base you can see, and right here there is either a rain shaft or something that's making its way down. So when you're looking at a thunderstorm, we look for this flat base, and if you see the light coming through, then there's no rain there. And a lot of times that's where we might see what's called a wall cloud form or a dipping down, and we're watching that area. You can see the lightning causing the flashing here. This is a huge area of either rain or something that's going on. And it's on the left side here. So you're looking from the Dakota Magic Casino. I think we're pointed almost due south the way it looks to me. And this is, yeah, let's take that broad perspective there. Boy, that looks, okay, over here, this brighter white color, if that's not light, that could be a hail shaft over on that side. So where we have this is called the downburst side of the storm here. We could have a lot of rain, we could have a lot of hail, and then we have the updraft side of the storm over on the right side, and that would likely be where we have the tight rotation. While this is going on, I'm going to take a look at the velocities here, Nathan, on that. So let me take a look here. Okay, so we will erase all of this, go to velocities, and I think we'll be able to see down here what's heading. Okay, so we've got a report of a confirmed tornado that was 5 miles southeast of New Effington. That's this area here where we got the bright greens. That's the rotation, that's the couplet. That's what we're seeing. Now this could be a pretty wide one that's on the ground. Now remember we said earlier strong tornadoes, that there's the possibility of a strong tornado on the ground right now. There's a lot of rain with this storm, as you know, and sometimes that rotation can pick up rain and make it very hard for our cameras to see. Our camera's right here where you see the I-29 badge. It's looking down to the south-southeast, and I do recall seeing on that we had that darkening area that could either be a very heavy rain shaft or it could be a fairly large funnel that's on the ground. It's hard to tell from that distance. So we'll keep monitoring this. If you are in New Effington, if you are in Wheaton, you can see that we still have bright reds and bright greens next to each other moving into your area as well. This whole area, very dangerous. And this area of rotation appears to be pretty tight where we see the bright greens next to the fairly bright reds. I'm going to sneak it over just a bit to include Wheaton in this and see. Yeah, so we've got that active tornado warned area and a little sliver of a tornado warned area right now just off to the left for you folks in Marshall County, Minnesota. Boy, that tiny little area right that you see right there near Veblen, an active tornado warning does continue. There appears to be a little separation between the greens and the reds here. That's called the zero velocity line. That when you see that separation, that's a good thing. You want, if there's tight rotation, you'll see the greens and the reds immediately next to each other with no gray or zero in between. As we're seeing that, there could be some pretty good spin left in this storm as it makes its way up into Veblen. If you are in Lidgerwood, if you are in Rutland, this line of storms is capable of producing very strong gusty winds, and those winds could exceed 70 miles per hour. In some locations, we've had measurements of even more than that. It's hard to get a measurement of the winds from the Aberdeen radar that are coming out of this storm. The winds coming out of this storm are going to be blowing from south to north, the straight line winds will, and the radar beam's shooting this way across it, so we can't measure the winds. If the winds were coming right into the radar, we could get a great measurement of the wind speeds. Once these get a little farther north, we'll be able to use the Mayville radar and estimate the wind speeds for you as these storms make their way towards Fargo, Moorhead, and the I-94 corridor. So again, the active tornado warning with an observed tornado on the ground was near New Effington in South Dakota. That's moving north. We're still seeing a very bright signature on the radar display right next to Rossholt. If you are in Rossholt, it looks like, now keep in mind, see how we have bright reds and bright greens immediately next to each other with no red in between? That's some pretty tight indication of circulation inside this storm at cloud level, where the green shows winds blowing towards the radar, the reds is blowing away. So Rossholt, we could have a tornado on the ground. In the control room, can you switch me back to the Skycam on the wall? If you can do that, that would be great.
It's moving into the Hankinson Dakota Magic Casino right now.
Okay.
It's just picking up.
All right. Well, then I'll pop it up here. I think I can do that. Let's see. Boom. Okay. So Nathan, why don't you back off on that and just scan a little bit, because what we were seeing from a distance, we saw that cloud-free base, the rain-free base, I should say, and then we also saw what looked like a pretty big area of heavy rain. So we got heavy rain moving in right now to the Dakota Magic Casino. I think you're looking southeast right now, and the rotation from where this was would have been more due south, maybe even a little bit to the southwest. So just scan the skies like that, and we'll see what we can see moving into the Dakota Magic Casino. So you're getting heavy rain, some gusty winds. Our camera isn't flopping around, so it isn't horribly gusty winds yet, but the main part of the storm could be coming.
It does look pretty gusty out there. That rain is really whipping.
Yeah, okay, yep, and you can see it moving by the lights there as well. So again, tornado warning for Sisseton. It's moving into the area across the border now, and it's moving in towards Hankinson. We do have the rain. We do have a lot of lightning. The hail size isn't the most impressive with this. And you go ahead and scan and see if you can see anything with that.
We did get a new warning for Lemoore County.
Lemoore? Okay. All right, very good. Thank you very much. As we take a look now back at the computer, we're going to load up our large-scale picture here. We do have showers and thunderstorms from Grand Forks. These are off in northern Clearwater County, so north of Bagley. Here's Bemidji right here. And north of there, this swath of non-severe weather continues. Now, a couple of these have pulsed up and produced severe size hail, 1-inch hail. The risk up north is a little lower for severe weather tonight. Here's the main event, and all of the action is right along the leading edge right here as it moves northward. These storms here moving north. These over here where it curls are moving more in an northeasterly direction. Okay, so all of our southern counties right now are under the gun with this very strong and gusty storm system making its way through. We do have a lot of very heavy rain and strong thunderstorm activity in Stutsman County. So from Medina, Cleveland, and Jamestown straight south through the Lemoore and Dickey County areas, we're seeing some very heavy rain and strong thunderstorms, and it does look like we have that warning there. So let's go in and update you on that, and it does look like the tornado warning has been extended. Take a look at this huge tornado warning. Okay, so this big pink box that you see here is for this whole leading edge that we've been watching from the Dakota Magic Casino, and that Eric Whitehill and Summer Schnellbach are tracking from the south side here, working its way northward. This line of storms is spinning tightly, and we have an active tornado warning for all of our communities. If you can kind of make out, there is Richland County. So if you are in anywhere from Mantador to Windmere, all the way into Breckenridge and to Wahpeton, you're in a tornado warning now, and you have a little bit of time. These storms are moving north, and they're moving at a clip of about 40 miles per hour. And here we go as we draw a line and track these for you. These are the communities, how long it'll take them to get to your area. See if it took my click there. It did. Okay, so if you are in Great Bend, the line of windy storms, you're going to get some gusty winds in isolated locations with these storms. It could top 70 miles per hour. 719 Great Bend, Breckenridge 730, Windmere 733. Your time is 7:08 right now. Galchute, if you're there, you may want to get the llamas and bring them into the house because it's 742. The storms are making their way towards that area, and Barnesville 807. So these will be moving north. Notice that it doesn't list here Fergus Falls, although Fergus Falls is right on the edge of that. So Rothsay, it lists you. That's probably because of how I drew the box. So keep in mind, if you are anywhere near this box, a tornado could happen at any time. We did get reports of a confirmed tornado south on I-29, not far from the new Effington area, and that part of the storm is now lifting into southern and southeastern North Dakota.
And we did get an update also from the National Weather Service at 7:06 p.m. Tornado-producing storms were located along a line from near Rochold to Emmanuel Church, moving north at 65.
Okay, north at 65 now. So we've got storms, and this whole line is moving north at 65. So they're going to be pretty quick. Let's diagnose this for you. These storms are going to be pretty quick moving in on the FM area then, because if you take a look at where they are and measure how far we are as the crow flies to Fargo, we're 60 miles. So we got about an hour here in Fargo, and these storms will be on our doorstep. Here is a look at your current time. It is 7:10 right now. And if we go ahead and put this up, I'm going to walk you through some sky cams. Hey, can you update the app? Yeah. I'm going to walk you through the cameras because these are only about an hour away. Here's the Dakota Magic Casino. We're watching that. It's a lot of heavy rain right there. And this is the leading edge of the storm right now. So once you get in the rain, it's hard to see, obviously, if there's anything spinning or tornadic going on in there. But that shear or spin is located right on the leading edge of the storm. Here is a look, by the way, of what's going through Grand Forks. We mentioned western Grand Forks County had some strong storms working their way up. That one had some indication of large hail to 1 inch and gusty winds to about 60 miles per hour. But if you're in Grand Forks, you're watching us here on Valley News Live on all of our networks. Thank you for bearing with us as we keep everybody safe. Your area is not under the gun right now for tornadoes, but some hail could be heading your way. And these storms that are moving through the Southern Valley now will be making their way up. And in all likelihood, believe it or not, they'll be up in your area before the 10 o'clock hour. Devil's Lake might have the best chance at getting through this system less scathed. It's fairly quiet for you right now. And here's a look from our Corwin camera at our studios in South Fargo. And as we spin this view to the south, we should be able to get a pretty good view of the storms making their way in. And they're way out there, so there's a lot of humid air in between us and them at this time. So we're going to keep our eyes on the skies here. So we do have our view as this storm system approaches from the south. We can keep you up to date with the very latest. So our active tornado warnings do continue on that line of storms crossing the border. We have an active tornado warning if you're in Richland County right now. We love to get your reports when it's safe to do so. We love to get your pictures. Let's go ahead and review a couple of things. First and foremost, in a tornado watch. And if you've been watching with us, I apologize for some repetition here, but some folks are just joining us as these noisy thunderstorms enter their area. We do have a couple of tips for you. A tornado watch means that we just have all of the ingredients in place for tightly rotating storms. So if you are in a sturdy structure and you're watching from home, or you've heard thunder and lightning heading your way, and you've heard you're under a tornado warning, once a warning is issued, that means it's happening. Either it's been observed or we're seeing a tight spin on the radar and it's a Doppler indicated tornado. In your house, it should be a sturdy house that's anchored to the foundation. What that means is it's not a mobile home, it's not an RV, it's not a camper, but a sturdy structure, a home. Get to the lowest floor possible. Hopefully you have a basement, and if you don't, that's okay. But get to the lowest floor possible and then get to an interior room. Hutch likes to say walls, walls, walls. Put as many walls between you and the flying debris as possible. So if a tornado were to come, or if gusty straight line winds were to come to your community, the debris picked up, be it a breaking tree branch or a flying anything, okay, has to go through multiple walls before it gets to you. That gives you a much better chance of surviving the storm. Get to the basement if you can, and then you're down here below the level of all the flying junk in the atmosphere. If you're in a mobile home, if you're in an RV or a camper, if you're at one of our state parks, a line of storms is making its way into places like, well, Lakes Country, for Ottertail County, Grant County. If you're down at the Lake Traverse area, it's very stormy. You want to eyeball and find where you can go and find sturdy structure. Get to that place, and again, follow the rules. Get low and put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Apartments, office buildings, similarly, lowest floor is always best. If you're in your car, and you encounter a tornado warning and your Valley News Live weather app alarms you that you have a tornado warning, then you want to, as a matter of fact, get out of the car and into a more sturdy structure. If you look out the window of your car, such as Eric Whitehill's video right now, if you want to put that up, they're driving across country. Essentially, if you see a tornado outside the window and you do not have time, you want to travel at right angles to the tornado. If you can't tell if the tornado's going left or to the right of your car, let's say one's over here and you can't tell if it's moving left or right. Well, if you see that, then what you need to do is probably coming right towards you. So you need to try to turn left or right or get down low. Usually you want to exit the car and get into a low-lying ditch. Some advice that's rather newer says drive your car into the ditch. I wouldn't advise that now with our flooding situation in our area. Many of our ditches are feet deep in water, so you got to be very careful out there driving around.
Yeah, we got a new severe thunderstorm warning issued from the Bismarck Weather Service office. This is for Kidder, Stutzman, and Wells County, tracking a severe thunderstorm there with 60-mile-per-hour winds possible and 1.5-inch diameter hail possible with that one as well. That's the one that's moving due north, even further north than that, Hutch. If you look just in the far Stutzman County, there it is to the far left there.
Oh yeah, that one.
Just
okay.
on the very edge of Stutzman County there.
Okay, yep. So that guy just outside of well, just on the edge of our viewing area, Medina, Cleveland, and then moving north. And there's Kidder County right there. And that guy's piped up. Now let's take a look at the hail size estimates on that one real quick. This guy moving north at a fairly good clip. Again, the hail marker is just on the interstate, I-94. They're right at the border crossing with Kidder and Stutzman County. Could be upwards of 1-inch diameter hail, as Nathan was going over.
1.5-inch diameter.
1.5-inch diameter hail.
Warning is calling for, yes.
Okay, very good. And then we've got thunderstorms in southern Barnes County and in Jamestown and in Lemoore. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, what impact is this going to have on our rivers and our streams? And there is going to be an impact. Many of them are already bank full and over bank full, as we have moderate and major flooding going on across portions of the valley, particularly north of Grand Forks and along the Cheyenne River Valley here. So as we take a look, that Cheyenne River Valley winding through Valley City, straight down into Lisbon, and then back up towards the Fargo-Moorhead area is picking up some substantial rain right now as well. So right now we have severe thunderstorm warnings for Lemoore. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Marion area for this cluster of storms. This is moving north. You can expect the wind speeds to possibly be as strong as 70 miles per hour. So we're starting to see now that these storms are making their way into North Dakota that they're accelerating. So the speeds have gone from 45 miles per hour for these storms to upwards of 65 miles per hour. Let's get in on this storm and look at the rotation again now, as we have a tornado warning and a tornado warned storm here for places like Wyndmere, Lidgerwood, and here's the leading edge of the storm. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up just a little bit here so you can see the area of concern. Right on the I-29 corridor, New Effington, we had the report of a tornado on the ground southeast of town there moments ago. That leading edge is now right here. It's right near Hankinson, as a matter of fact. And as we look at that Lidgerwood area, we got the greens and the reds next to each other. So there's still some tight rotation in this storm. It appears to be located right near the South Dakota border there. We have our storm team, storm chaser Eric Whitehill, working their way back and following the storms from the backside. And we have our Hankinson camera, but the last we looked there, it was inundated by a lot of rainfall. Where you see the blue colors, by the way, that's some very, very strong winds. We'll get more information on that for you here in a second. But we have some wind gusts with this storm system that have exceeded 100 miles per hour tonight. And that's straight line winds. That's not the tornadic variety. We do have severe thunderstorm warning for the Fergus Falls area. So I'll try to get the details on that.
We also got a viewer photo from Valley City. It's
Okay.
not a warning, but there's a 1-inch diameter hailstone, or quarter-sized hail, a hailstone that came in from Valley City. No warning there, but it's one of those cells that's popping up.
Okay, very good. So our team in back, if you have the ability to pull up our burst photos.
It's on Facebook. It was via Facebook.
Okay, so we got a Facebook message, and that picture photo shared on Facebook said that in Barnes County here, as we take a look over on that storm, 1-inch diameter hail in Valley City from the storm that's up here. So let me turn this back to regular reflectivities and the reds that you see here. So as this storm made its way up into Valley City, 1-inch diameter hail there. There's no warning at this particular time for that storm, but we did get a picture of some quarter-sized hail there. That stretches back to Jamestown. Just west of Jamestown is where we have the warning on the storm on the county here. That particular storm, by the way, the spin in it, if we take a look at that, this would be coming from the Bismarck radar site here. There is some spin in this storm. As a matter of fact, it's fairly weak, but we'll keep our eyes on that as well. Right now, the main threat from that is going to be gusty straight line winds upwards of about 60 miles per hour. And here's the information, 1 1/2-inch diameter hail from this storm making its way northward. And that storm is going to be heading in that general direction of you in Wells County and the Bowdoin area as we go through the upcoming half hour or 45 minutes or so. So all the way from southern Ottertail County and Grant County right now. Here's Grant County, straight into the southern reaches of Richland County. These storms are racing northward now at 60 miles per hour. They're pushing toward the FM area. You can see just take a look at the size of the thunderstorm warnings that are coming out, which makes it a little bit difficult to pinpoint neighborhoods that are going to be impacted by this. I think we're going to have many areas impacted when we see warnings that are this huge in size. So much of central Minnesota, including now out towards St. Cloud on I-94, seeing this line of thunderstorms make its way through. This line moving through Willmar, as you see it straight up and down moving north, but where it curves here, that's kind of like what we call the apex of a bow, and that could be an area where we see the higher likelihood of a tornado, and indeed we have a tornado warning for areas just north of Willmar right now, probably not far from that Eagle Lake area as we look up towards Alexandria and the I-94 corridor. Okay, you got the photo you said? Okay, yeah, why don't you put that up full screen? This is the one from Valley City, is that correct? Okay, so here we have 1-inch diameter hail in Valley City from the storm that's made its way through. No warning for that particular storm. Do you have a name on this one too? Who shared it with us?
Yes, Deidre.
Deidre.
Frumke.
Deidre, thank you so much for sharing this photo. And it's viewers like you and reports like this that help us know what's hitting the ground. We can have all the tools in the world, but a radar can only show us what's going on up at cloud level. It shoots up at an angle into the cloud. And the farther we get away from the radar site, the higher and higher in the cloud it is. So it might be showing huge hail up there, but what hits the ground is what's obviously important. Thank you, Deidre, for sharing your photos. You can upload yours at valleynewslive.com. We'll continue to share those. We're also updating our Valley News Live weather app. So if you happen to, I see that new tornado warning.
Yeah. And
okay.
So to talk about the app, I did just put a video up on the app for those folks who are thinking about getting it, but also this new tornado warning came in toward potential of radar indicated over Elbow Lake.
Okay.
Moving north at 40.
All right, so if you're in that Elbow Lake area, Dalton area, we have had some terrible weather in Ottertail County. Believe it or not, in Minnesota, western Minnesota, if you want to ask Hutch what the two most tornado-prone areas are in the entire huge state of Minnesota, they're right here in our western Minnesota counties of Ottertail and Polk. Have seen more tornadoes than any other counties. They're big ones. But it goes to show you that we get some pretty wild weather around these parts. These storms are moving into Dalton right now, the I-94 corridor. They're in the southern and western reaches of Ottertail County. I'm going to stop this from looping. If you're in Fergus Falls, you do have time to seek shelter in an interior room, staying away from windows. And also want to point out that this leading edge of storms is where the action has been all night with gusty straight line winds in some spots in South Dakota over 100 miles per hour as the storms just got started. Now the farther north they go, we're probably going to see that magnitude of wind speeds drop down a little bit. But we're also still seeing very strong indications of rotation. Here's Elbow Lake in central Grant County. Here's Fergus Falls. The tornado warning is right here. Here's Battle Lake, okay? Here is an area that is crossing the I-94 corridor right now, new tornado warning. Let's go ahead and look at the velocity on that. Nathan, do you have a speed for that one, by the way?
For the one over Elbow Lake?
Yeah.
North at 40.
North at 40. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot this so our viewers in Fergus Falls, here's that leading edge moving north at 40. I can barely fit 40 on the screen there. Okay, so if you're in Dalton, now, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 summers ago, we had someone lose their life in and around Dalton from tornadic weather. It can and does happen in this area. If you're in Dalton, 7:28 is the time that the storm will be there. Heed the warning, seek shelter, interior room, lowest level. Put as many walls between you and the storm as you can. Fergus Falls, this storm is working its way towards you as well by 7:30. Again, kids, I want to talk to you for a second. If you're home alone and this is kind of moving towards Fergus Falls area, here's a good thing to keep in mind. You're okay, got some time right now. It's time to think about you, so you want to get downstairs into the basement of your home if you have one. Now, if your home doesn't have a basement, that's okay. You don't want to be by an outside wall. So if this wall is an outside wall and behind it is the outside, then things flying through the air can come through that wall and you want to get away from that wall. Okay, so you want to put as many walls between you and the storm. If your home has a hallway, my home has a hallway, and you can walk into that hallway and then things from the outside have to go through the outside wall, maybe a window, and then they have to go through the hallway wall before they get to you. And that adds more protection for you. So maybe a hallway. My hallway has some closets in it. That's maybe another wall that you put between you and the storm, okay? Once you find that interior room on the lowest floor, you get down low. You protect your head and you wait for the wind and the storm to pass. And Hutch here on the TV, you can lead me on. I'll let you know when the threat passes. So Elbow Lake, right now you're in the warning, but the rotating part of the storm and the main leading edge of the storm is passing out of that area, moving northward. Now, this is a Doppler indicated tornado that will be moving up towards Lida and Fergus. So if you're in Lakes Country in Ottertail County here, you're going to want to be taking your precautions as well. And one of the hard parts in Ottertail County and Lakes Country is we get into those trees and you can't see what's coming. So yeah, got to trust the radar here and just take the time and get yourself to a safe location and seek shelter in that interior room. So again, kids, now let's say you're not living in a home that has a basement. Let's say you live in a mobile home. You want to call, if you're in Fergus Falls, maybe there's someone who has a more sturdy structure. You don't want to get and drive around town to get somewhere, but if you have somewhere close where there's a sturdy structure, that's great. If you're caught outside by any stretch of the imagination, get to the lowest place that you can and get low, below the level of the flying debris if there is any, and that will give you the best chance to weather the storm per se. Again, one of our big communities in Fergus Falls is under a tornado warning, 7:30. That storm should be there in 4 minutes. If you are in Fergus Falls, seek shelter, and then we would appreciate your reports of what you've heard or seen from the storm. Another thing that gets a little bit difficult for us with storms that are located here in Fergus Falls, or even a little farther to the east in Douglas County and the Parker's Prairie area and Alexandria, is that we're a long, long ways from the radar site. So the data that we're seeing right here on your screen is coming from very high in the clouds. So we're not looking at that rotation in the base of the cloud. We're seeing the rotation, but it's in the upper part of the cloud. So it gets a little bit harder to pick out the storms that might be producing tornadoes. And that's important for you to know. Just because there is a tornado warning, it's prudent to issue a tornado warning for a tightly rotating storm that's exhibiting certain characteristics to meteorologists. But sometimes a warning is issued, and we're not certain that that's making its way to the ground, but it could go to the ground. We did get a confirmation of a tornado from this line of storms. It's moving into Wheaton, Breckenridge right now. It's made its way through the Lidgerwood area, the leading edge, and there is an active tornado warning there. The good news that I'm seeing is we're not hearing a lot of reports of tornadoes on the ground tonight, so we'll take that for what it's worth for now. And we're going to take a look at the velocities along the leading edge of this storm here. Now there's Breckenridge. The greens are motioned toward the radar. I'm just going to make sure I push the right button here. Storm relative, yeah. Okay, so the velocities on this guy are showing mainly motion towards the radar here. And that would be, it looks like it's locked into the radar in Mayville. Let me see if I can pull up the Aberdeen one. There we go. Switch just like that. Okay. So here's Lidgerwood, here's Breckenridge, and there's the reds motion away from Aberdeen's radar, motion towards a little space in between. We do have some areas where there's some tighter spin. I'm not seeing any super strong signatures right here, but the tornado warning continues, and there certainly is shear or spin along the boundary of this leading edge of storms as it's making its way into places like Breckenridge, as it's making its way into places like Mantador, and there is a look at Windmere as well. These areas on I-29 here are seeing this leading edge with the spin right here. Pretty strong winds toward the right greens, and then kind of weak winds going away from the radar on the backside. Lidgerwood, there's some signs of a couplet or spin there, so that's why the tornado warnings that are being issued are so big. Yeah.
I got a viewer video that I just uploaded in the system from Guelph.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and see if I can pop this up here. Okay, so Carrie shares this from Guelph, North Dakota. And you can see the sideways rain. You can see the lightning going off there. And again, our rivers here are swollen. We have a lot of soaked ground, so this is all going to be running off. And we'll take a look at the impacts of the flooding. That's certainly going to be one tonight. And areas last night, like, say, Lakes Country in Becker County, all the way down towards Breckenridge, we had estimates of 3 to 4 inches of rain last night that caused flash flooding in the Detroit Lakes area. So again, thanks so much for sharing your report there from Guelph, and we appreciate that very much, Carrie. So thank you for sharing that. All right, let's take a look at our active tornado warnings again, and let's double check what's going on up north and take a big picture. We have that warning that continues, it looks like continues for Stutsman County, now moving into Wells and northern parts of Kidder County. This is a severe thunderstorm warning here. This is the little cell that's prompted it, and it's moving northwest, just a little bit, leaning back towards the west there as it tracks northward. Thunderstorms in the Devil's Lake Basin. This leans back into northwestern Wells County for Harvey, all the way back towards the burn there on Highway 83 between Bismarck and Minot. There's a lot of heavy rain making its way in there. Most of this is the non-severe variety, and our main risk area continues to be our home area right here. So as we take a look at the big picture right now, there's some good news to report. There is a thunderstorm warning now for this large area. It looks like the tornado warning has expired or been canceled for Richland County. The only tornado warning now left on the big screen, as I pause it just to make sure, because sometimes it does flicker a little bit, is in Fergus Falls and Dalton. So this little area right here, and you can see the leading edge of that storm is working its way to the edge of that box. So this leading line of thunderstorms is prompting a severe thunderstorm. What you can expect from this line is in isolated locations, we could get gusts up to around 70 miles per hour. We could get little pockets that get 1-inch diameter hail from these storms as well. And then, of course, there is a possibility of brief spin-ups along the windy leading edge of the storm, as we've been covering tonight. Now, as we go along the I-94 corridor through central and southern parts of Ottertail County, right over Dalton is this rotating thunderstorm that has prompted a tornado warning. And the tornado warning there is in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. Grant and Ottertail County, although the risk is now all shifted up into Ottertail County the way it looks. And it looks like 1-inch hail and the possibility for a tornado along this leading edge here. Alexandria and Douglas County, that storm is now pushing up into southeastern Ottertail County. So if you're there and into the Wadena County area right here, the strong storms are going to be surging their way northward into your area. It looks like we have just over Oaks a little bit of a severe thunderstorm warning continuing for your area as well. Let me get the details on that. Okay. So the big thunderstorm warning for the entire line includes Gwinner and Lisbon. Hi, everybody in Lisbon. Got a chance to get out there and talk to you about nothing other than severe weather safety today. It was fun talking to you. Right now, there's no tornado warning. We talked about what to do there. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but we have gusty straight line winds. We talked about that. And tonight's winds have exceeded 70 miles per hour, and in some spots in South Dakota earlier, we have had reports of 80 mile per hour gusts. So in Lisbon, be prepared for locally heavy rain, a lot of lightning, gusty winds that could be on the order of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Those winds, by the way, will likely be punching out of the south and straight to the north as this line is racing northward. You can see that Oaks area is almost clear of the very heavy rain. Could still be quite windy there. As we look in towards Lemoore County, we're seeing the eastern reaches of Lemoore County and southern Stutsman County getting most of the activity. So this warned box here, most of the strong thunderstorm activity is now pushed to the north of that. All right, I want to check on our tornado warned storm here. We still have now Battle Lake is where it looks like the brunt of this storm is heading. Again, I'll remind you, this is so far away from the radar, sometimes we don't see very good velocity data. I'm going to move my fancy computer here for just a moment, but I will show you that even at this distance from the radar site in Mayville, North Dakota, all the way into Battle Lake area, and here's the big lake, right, Ottertail. So we look there, we've got this thing, and there is still some pretty tight areas of shear right near Battle Lake right now, and just off to the west, there may be a couple along this gust front, we call it, or this line of storms. So we do have that going on. Why don't we, can you put Eric Whitehill's video up? He's going through a flooded roadway right there, it looks like. I'm not sure where Eric is. Is Eric available and still able to communicate with us? And he can tell us where he's seeing that flooded roadway. Okay, so the report is he's outside of Rossholt right now, and he's not able to talk to us, but they just went through a narrowing of this highway. Looks like he's going east. What was that? Okay, very good. Okay, so that is in that Rossholt area, and the water on the road was narrowing it down to one lane there with some more rain in the region tonight.
Okay. Fergus Falls, we just overheard that they spot a wall cloud in Fergus Falls, and the sirens have been activated there in Fergus Falls as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So our news team is getting reports in Fergus Falls that you're hearing the sirens going off, and the storm is making its way right through Fergus Falls right now. We do have some rotation, and there is a tornado warning if you're in Fergus Falls, and even outside of the tornado warned area. Here is the tornado warned area. Fergus Falls is included, and back towards Hutch. Over here, we're seeing some signs of shear in the storm there as well. Even if you're close to it, the sirens are going off. It's time to stay in your shelter, be in your shelter, get to that interior room of a sturdy structure, and stay away from windows. Again, this is a long ways from the radar site, so sometimes we don't get the clearest of indications of a strong rotating couplet out here. But there is still indications of a rotating couplet near Fergus Falls where the sirens are going off. And it's right over the top of you now, and a wall cloud has been sighted in town. What's a wall cloud? It's a lowering of the thunderstorm base. It kind of looks like a bowl sometimes. Not necessarily funnel shaped. It's just this lowering of the cloud base. And if that's rotating, which we're seeing there is some rotation at cloud level here, that indeed you could have a situation where a tornado could come out of that cloud at any time. Battle Lake area is also seeing some pretty tight rotation here with this particular storm that's making its way. And actually, it looks like it's making its way right into the Ottertail Lake area right now too, very close to it. Now, if you're in Ottertail and Ottertail Lake, this leading edge right here, that's going to be the gusty stuff, right? So you're going to go from an east wind to all of a sudden that wind's going to slam you out of the south. So if you are on the northern shore of the big lake here, there's going to be some big waves hitting you and a big wind that comes across that water. So again, be prepared for big winds with this storm. Those wind gusts, as you follow this across here, expected to be on the order of around 70 miles per hour potentially as they work their way northward. There is no warning for Ottertail or Ottertail Lake right now, but that storm that's heading into your area does certainly have a history of that. And right here on the south and west edge of Ottertail Lake, we're seeing the greens and the reds next to each other. And there is some rotation along the leading edge of that storm still. Even this far away from the radar, it's showing up as some rotation. We have some real tight rotation here just off to the east of Parker's Prairie here, south of Wadena in Todd County, okay? And a tornado warning in Todd County for this little couplet you see here. So here's a couplet not far from Parker's Prairie. Here's a couplet in central Todd County as well. Canceled the tornado warning for Fergus Falls. So we'll take a look at the big picture.
But Morton got a report of 69 mile per hour wind gust there. Thanks to our friends at Endon, reported that gust in Morton.
Morton. That would be down here.
Richland County, yes.
Yep, Richland County. And you guys, was that 60?
69.
69 mile per hour wind gusts reported in Morton as the storms blew their way through. These storms are coming in towards the FM area. Why don't we pop up our sky cam for Fargo? I do want to point out we have no active tornado warnings right now in effect for our viewing area. No active tornado warnings. We have active thunderstorm warnings west of Jamestown. We have active thunderstorm warning here in Dickey County, just near the Ellendale area. Excuse me, that's Lemoore County, north of Ellendale. And then we do have some strong thunderstorms just off to the east of Fergus Falls. And moving into Ottertail Lake is a line of strong and rotating thunderstorms as well. We're going to keep our eyes on this. I do want to say that the storms right now are moving through Valley City. And as the crow flies, as far as the FM area is concerned, they're 28 miles away. These storms are moving about 60 miles per hour. They're about 30 minutes away, so as we approach the 8 o'clock hour, we may see these storms. I have a product here I like to use from time to time to look at the wind speeds from Mayville now. We can get a good look into these storms. They're not quite across the line that I like to see yet, but they're getting there. Okay, so this line here, the greens that we're seeing here are winds that are in excess of 57 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour. So this line of storms is indeed producing 60 plus mile per hour velocities at cloud level. That's not necessarily on the ground right now, but the closer this gets to Mayville and the Fargo area, the lower and lower we're going to get then the more accurate readings of gusty winds. So let's get prepared in Fargo, and let's get prepared in places like Oxbow and southern parts of Cass County and Clay County now to see these windy storms make their way up. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings for southern parts, Sargent and Richland County. We've got that part there over there in the Lemoore County area, and that extends now back into Fergus Falls. So it looks like they replaced that. Oh, we got a tornado warning for the lake area we were just talking about. We're on until our threat is gone. Now, if you're on the big lake, this is the big lake we were talking about. There's a tornado warning now issued for Ottertail Lake. That storm that was rotating there, let's get that spinning velocities right back up here, is right here on the west edge of the lake. And that is moving northward, and it's moving at, let me see if I can get the speed on the storm. It's been a while since I've looked at that. Appreciate you bearing with me. I know there's some repetition to what we're talking about, but if you're in Battle Lake, there is a tornado warning for a storm that's making its way into your area. So let me go back 1 hour. Wow, they move fast. Okay, so they were off the screen at the bottom of the screen an hour ago, and they're in Battle Lake now. So I'm going to show you how fast that line is moving. That's incredible, 63 miles an hour. So from Hutch's kneecap to here is how far that storm has moved. So that's moving at 63 miles per hour. It's going to be over the lake in no time. So let's get you all that information you need here now to prepare. If you're on the north side of the lake too, we were just talking about those winds are going to push from south to north across the lake. So if you have a boat or a boat cover or something like that over there, it's going to be some very powerful winds that could be in excess of 70 miles per hour. Plus we've got rotation making its way over the lake right now. So here's the community of Ottertail, the town of Ottertail. On the west side there, that's where you got that fancy pizza restaurant on that side. And then there's a lot of cabins, of course, on the lake itself. Moving at 70 miles per hour, 63 miles per hour. Let's get you an estimate of ETA for your area. Boy, this is moving fast. So I have to zoom way out just to get 63 miles on here, don't I? Okay, so if you're in Ottertail, the community, the city, Ottertail, it's going to be there, 744. Perham, if you're in Perham right now, 757, you want to be ready for that. Now, the edge of the tornado warning box exits there, but the storm is moving this quick that it'll be up in Becker County, and that's along that Highway 34 corridor there by Height of Land Lake. It'll be there about 8:15 if it continues on this path. It will basically blast its way through parts of central and eastern Becker County as well. So primarily the main lake, the entire Ottertail Lake area, Ottertail City, Perham are the areas of immediate concern with this tornado warning. Now, this is a Doppler indicated tornado, so keep that in mind. That means we're picking up some rotation, and we want to let you know this is a long ways from the radar site, so it gets a little cluttered to look at. Greens means the wind is blowing towards the Mayville radar, and reds means it's blowing away. So we still do have that spin, and it's making its way over the lake. Let me see if we can see where the lake is. There it is. It's over the lake right now. So we'll back it up a couple steps. You can see that the leading edge and the spin has worked its way over the lake. So if you're on Ottertail Lake, if you're in the cabin, you need to get away from those windows, right? And you need to get to that interior room, stay away from the exterior walls and get to an interior wall. If you got a basement, that's the best place. I'm seeing a little couplet out here on this side too of the warning box right over here. So that's out there by County Highway 74 on the west side of the warned area. And it'll be working its way up to the Highway 10 corridor here, so from Perham to New York Mills and that stretch of road, and also up towards Frazee. In that area. So you got Rush Lake, you've got your lakes areas south of Frazee in this area that will all be Star Lake. All of these will be in the path of this very gusty leading edge of storms. Now, as we take it back just a little further, I want to point this out. This is a long, long ways from the radar, but just south, this is Wadena County, and this is moving north into Wadena County. So if you're in Wadena County, we're giving you that first alert to let you know that we've got a tight rotation couplet right here. And that's moving in Todd County. And so if you know Highway 10 as it moves through Wadena, and you go through places like Verndale and the turnoff out here towards Nimrod, and you get down here, and this is right by Staples. I know Staples pretty well. My folks live there, and basically there's rotation right in this area, pretty strong.
We got some reports, some more reports coming in. The Morton area, they also heard 76 miles per hour after that 69 mile per hour gust earlier. 76 miles per hour there in Morton. But Emerado, Grand Forks County, wind gust there of 60 miles per hour. Our friends at Endon. Campbell, that's in Wilkin County, Minnesota, 69 miles per hour. And then Parker's Prairie in Ottertail County, 60 miles per hour. Just some of the reports we've got coming in here at this hour.
Okay, so again, over 70 mile per hour winds in Morton.
That was, yes, in Morton.
In Richland County with those storms. And report. It seems like we're having some power hits here, aren't we? Yeah.
And we also have a viewer video in there from Elbow Lake.
Okay.
That was showing kind of the trees, and there's that Valley City hail picture there as well.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, so here's Elbow Lake, Jessica. Thanks for sharing this. Grant County, central Grant County, before the storms made their way up to Dalton, where there was a tornado warning. This is a tornado warned storm. Looks like we're here, well, in the community of Elbow Lake, and the trees are bending with the winds. And Jessica, we appreciate you taking this. We want you all to be safe when you're giving us the reports. Now, if you have wind damage after the storms move through with 60 to 75 mile per hour winds, here's something you can help Hutch and meteorologists out with. If it broke trees, what was the diameter of the tree branches? Was it 1 inch diameter branches that broke off and are in your yard all over the place? Or was it a 2 foot diameter big tree that got felled by the storm? Nathan, can you pull up our Skywatch camera here in town?
Yep.
Okay, so
it's up. You want it on your computer?
Yeah, well, yep, I can get it now. I just wanted to make sure it was the right camera.
Aiming south.
Okay, so we're looking south from our cameras here. These storms are on their way into the FM area as we speak, and we got to keep our eyes on them, and we'll get you a timing on them, but let's take a look at them as the Skycam is working as well. Okay, so the sky's getting dark. Now you're looking from our studios in South Fargo. We're at University. Here's the University right here. You're looking south towards places like Oxbow. The now demolished Kmart lot is right here. So that gives you perspective. And you're looking into South Fargo, darkening skies, a low cloud base, and a line of strong and gusty winds heading our way. That's the #1 threat tonight. The good news is we haven't heard ginormous hail reports from most of these sites. That's fantastic news. But we have had 1.5 inch hail reports from these storms. And we have had confirmed tornadoes that have been cited in a few spots. But really, I think the key is that we've had wind gusts in excess of 100 miles per hour in South Dakota, crossing into the North Dakota border just a few miles south of where you're looking here at the storm, that as it made its way through Morton, as that storm made its way through Morton, it caused that over 70 mile per hour gusts. So we can zoom all the way in. Check this out. As we take a look, South Fargo, there is the radio tower, and we have got darkening skies. We'll have a perfect view, folks, of these storms as they make their way in from the south, and we can see literally all the way into Ottertail County. We can see all the way into Becker County with our camera here. So it gives us a good perspective. And on the leading edge is where that rotation is. So we're going to see that first. And we also have the ability to see any rotating or dropping wall clouds and keep our eyes on that as it moves in from the south. So we'll continue to scan the skies.
And that's now a severe thunderstorm we're looking at now, Hutch. That severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Cass County, Clay County, Becker County, with 70 mile per hour winds as the primary threat there. A tornado is possible. Hail not looking too impactful from this system as it's moving up toward the I-94 corridor, but 70 mile per hour winds with this storm we're looking at right now from our Corn Auto Tower cam south of town. It's moving, get a speed for you. They don't have a speed, but that warning goes until 8:45 for Cass and Clay counties and the surrounding communities.
Okay, so severe thunderstorm warning now for our area in Fargo as we take a look at this dark cloud. So the storm we're looking at there is now warned for, as Nathan let us know. So we're under a severe thunderstorm warning in the FM area. We have a great view. We'll be alluding back to that. You can hear the thunder now in the FM area.
And that's moving north at 55 is the speed there.
North at 55. Okay, so here we go. We're in Fargo Moorhead, north at 55. Look at the hugeness, that's a term, that you use after you've been on the air for a while. The enormity of the thunderstorm warning. We can't even tell you all the communities that are in it, but essentially it includes Fargo, it includes Holly, it includes Lake Park, it includes Detroit Lakes, it includes Perham, it includes Wadena, and it goes all the way out here towards Brainerd almost, and St. Cloud. Look at the size of that. And this box goes from one National Weather Service office in Grand Forks, and it slides all the way into the St. Cloud area, which is covered by the Minneapolis National Weather Service. They basically said, let's get together and let's put a warning out for this entire line of storms, because anywhere along it we could have some damaging winds. I'm going to go ahead and time out the storms into Fargo now. And then I'm going to take a look back at Ottertail County where we have the tornado warning. So let's go through that. In Fargo-Moorhead, if you are in Kindred, I just drove through Kindred today. There's a lot of water. I think there's some logs stuck on the bridge there under the Cheyenne as it works its way through town from south to north, right here. Heavy rain making its way in right now, and it's on your doorstep. The storm is moving north at 50 miles per hour. Tornado possible, it says. I got to get zoomed out enough to be able to show this whole thing. So Fargo is 15 miles away. This is going to be on us very quick, folks, moving at 50 miles per hour. So that I can fit everything on the screen, give me a moment, and I appreciate you bearing with me here. All right, we're going to take the leading edge of our storm right here, moving northward at 50 miles per hour, and we'll just look at this little chunk right here.
And we got a report also from Fergus Falls just recently at 7:30 of 73 miles per hour there in Fergus Falls.
Okay, 73 mile per hour report of winds in Fergus Falls as the tornado warned storms blew through, or maybe shortly thereafter. Okay, line of storms right here, Horace first. So if you're in Horace, you might want to get the jalopy in the garage. 8:15 is the time. Oh, that's Holly, excuse me. Horace, 7:59. So as we approach 8 o'clock in 9 minutes, this leading edge is going to be in your ballpark. Now, you're going to get a burp of air straight out of the south. That's the direction. So you want to make sure that if you have time now, it's not too windy, batten down the hatches, get the lawn furniture in off there. You don't want your trampoline flying all the way to West Fargo from Horace, okay? So get those things battened down. Don't be out there trying to sit on the trampoline with 70 to 90 mile per hour winds. Just get it taken care of. And they're going to be blowing from south to north. That's the wind direction. Winds could gust upwards of 70 plus mile per hour, because we've already gotten reports of that from our communities. So Horace, near 8. Fargo, 8:10. That includes West Fargo. It also includes Moorhead. If you're in Moorhead and you happen to be out and about tonight, get in. Make sure that you're seeking shelter in an interior room. Make sure that the car is away from trees and things like that. 70 mile per hour winds can topple trees and stuff. You got a little bit of time to prepare in Fargo, but not a lot. 8:10, so we got about 15 minutes. Get yourself and all your things battened down and take a look at that. Then it moves north, and I'll go into Hitterdal by 8:23. Uland and Ada, that would be up here on that right edge of the storm. But actually going right up the I-29 corridor, so Riley's Acres on up into the Hillsborough area on the outside of about an hour or so.
Now, new tornado warning for Wadena County.
Okay, hey, that storm we were just talking about in Wadena County that was in Todd County, tornado warning, okay? That one was right by the folks' old farm. That's now moving up into Wadena County here on Highway 10, and it's crossing over Highway 10. We got 2 tornado warnings. We talked about this earlier. I'm going to back out just a little bit, but first and foremost, we talked about this shape that this leading edge of storms. And see how curvy it is right here? When we get a curve like that, where a storm or a line of storms is bending like that on the apex or one of these curves, it's just a great place for us to see a spin up take place. Wadena County, extreme western reaches of Ottertail County here seeing that storm warning for a tornado. Also, we continue with the tornado warning for our neighbors there to the west. And this one is for the Perham area, as we were talking about. So the storm is moving into Perham and New York Mills now. Looks like there's a little bit of a split going on right here in the storm, right over the Highway 10 between Frazee. So this one's splitting off to the right side, and this one's probably heading in a different direction. That also happens when we get a storm that's bowing like that and splits and stretches. So
also getting multiple reports of damage in Wahpeton. Some trees down in Wahpeton.
Okay. And if someone can pass this on to news then, so we can check on that. Oh, we just had a power flash here. Wahpeton has damage in town from gusty winds. So those storms have moved through Wahpeton and are heading into Fargo Moorhead now. Wind gusts have been measured at 76 miles per hour, and they're heading to Fargo now. And our news team may want to check in on the folks in Wahpeton and see what they're hearing there. Tornado warning does continue here. This is for Perham and for Rush Lake until 8:15, so for the next 15 minutes. And you can see it's not as organized of a line that's making its way through that county, but I do want to pull up the velocities and see if I see any real trouble spots. The tornado warning does continue, and yes, I do. There's two areas. Both of those storms have reds next to greens. One of them's on the outside of the box. We talked about this before, but it's kind of a broad rotation showing up here south and west of the Frazee area. So this would be in that Star Lake, Rush Lake area out over here south of Highway 10. If you're in Perham, okay, and you're off to the east, you see the reds and the greens next to each other. The radar is in Mayville. The greens are blowing right towards Mayville. The reds are blowing exactly away from Mayville. When you have those next to each other, that means we have a tight rotation right here. It's right over Highway 10 between Perham and moving in towards New York Mills. This whole area right here, a lot of spin going on there, or shear is what we call that. Anywhere along that area, we could get it. And it's even outside of the tornado warned box. So that's important to note. Just because you're on the edge, you know, it doesn't mean, okay, we're free and clear. That's why we're cutting in. That's why we're letting you know what's happening from minute to minute on Valley News Live. And that's what First Alert is all about. So we've got spin on the outside of this box, just off to the left, south and west of Frazee. We've got spin on the right side, but if you're in Perham, it looks like things are splitting. You've got a tornado warning there. You're not safe. There's very gusty winds around you, but it looks like on the latest scan that tight rotation has kind of split around Perham. I'm going to take 2 steps back on the radar and let you look at the loop with me.
Getting reports of power outages in Valley City. No warning there, but heavy rain in Valley City with that storm going through Valley City.
Okay, thank you. And that's the one where we got the 1-inch diameter hail picture from too, right?
Earlier, yeah. Hail was earlier this evening.
Yeah, so hail and power outages now in Valley City and Barnes County. So you can see the 2 areas of spin a couple scans back. I'm going back in time to 7:30. Here the storms come. They move over Ottertail Lake, and as they head, they kind of split into 2 distinct areas of rotation. One's heading towards Frazee now. This area of wind is picking up right over the Cormorant Lake chain right here. Wind toward the radar moving pretty strong there. So very gusty straight line winds associated with these storms. If you're in New York Mills too, I'm seeing rotation. Let's get to Wadena County here real quick. Moving into Wadena right now is a rotating couplet with this storm that's moving north. This storm here also, let's see how fast that latest warning says. I'm pulling this information up on my computer. It's moving north at 40 miles per hour, a little slower. There's the couplet right there, okay? It doesn't look too strong, but we got to take that with a huge grain of salt because it's so far away from the radar in Mayville, it's so far away from the radar in Minneapolis that we're looking at very high off the ground into the cloud. But there is some rotation and it's moving north right into Wadena. It'll be there in minutes. If you're in Wadena, we all know what happened on June 17th of 2010 in Wadena. You take these things seriously, and it's time to heed those warnings once again. Get to the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. Stay down low. If you're in a mobile home or if you're in a manufactured home, you don't have a lot of time now. It's going to be on you quick. It's moving at 40 miles per hour. Get to that interior room away from windows. You know where the road curves here right before you go into Wadena. We got Bluffton up here. Now, you got hit pretty hard that same day, didn't you? So again, tornado warning, Wadena, Sabika, you're included. The rotating part of this thunderstorm is mainly in the southern part right now, southern part of Wadena County, right at the Todd County line. And not a confirmed tornado. It's a radar indicated tornado. Heed the warning, seek shelter. Tornado warning for our viewers in Wadena and Wadena County. Tornado warning for our viewers in Ottertail County off to the west here in New York Mills particularly. There's some rotation showing up there. We're getting a little bit more now, not far from you in Perham, to be honest with you. So it looked like it had split, but see this? So the Highway 10 corridor from Frazee all the way to New York Mills, I recommend that you seek shelter in the interior room. We got reports of some gusts as these things made their way through Grant County and also Fergus Falls in excess of 60 miles per hour. So very gusty straight line winds with those storms. Now let's get you back to Fargo I'm going to pop up the sky cam here real quick, and here we go. Let's take a scan of the skies with our camera and take a look. Thank you, Nathan. All right, so here's what's coming to Fargo. It's not a tornado warning, number one, for Fargo, Moorhead, at this time. But these storms are very strong wind producers, folks, and they're coming from an area where the atmosphere was so unstable that they grew to heights of nearly 60,000 feet high, if you can imagine that. Okay, 60,000 feet, how many miles is that? Is that like 8.5 miles up there, right? So you're way up in the sky, and you get hailstones up there and they fall to the ground. That gets to be a headache real quick. Tier of counties north have been issued a large warning for. Okay, so we're scanning the skies. I'm seeing some good things. I'm not seeing any lowering cloud bases. And, I'm not seeing a lot of dust or gust associated with a huge outflow heading to Fargo yet. But if we zoom in a little closer, you're going to see there's that where our vision stops. That's the leading edge of the wind and rain right there. That's what we would call the gust front. So that's when we'll know that this one means some pretty serious business. There's a lot of lightning with this. We're getting power flashes here at the studios. Line is making its way towards us. So what's coming towards Fargo is a severe thunderstorm capable of some very gusty straight line winds, and it has produced wind gusts of 76 miles per hour in southern parts of Richland County and central Richland County as it worked its way through that particular area. Let me tell you about, Weather Service said something about a big area of thunderstorm warnings up in the Northern Valley. I want to load that and see if I can get you any information on what we're seeing there. I don't see anything up north, do you?
For warnings?
Yeah.
No. We did get a report though from Ottertail County, Phelps, Minnesota. 7-inch diameter branch broken, I guess near Maine, Minnesota is where that 7-inch diameter branch was broken.
Okay, so breaking tree branches. There's the new warning. That's along the Highway 10 corridor. So we're talking Fargo. Is that the same one? I think it is.
That's the same one, yeah.
Yeah, and this one wraps all the way around to St. Cloud, where we do have this bendy thing here, and when you get that backward C shape along the apex of that, or the kind of the point of that bend on the Boeing Echo, that's where we have that risk for, or enhanced risk for tornadoes, and they got a couple tornado warnings there. We got these moving straight south to north and a lot of heavy rain with them. Again, look how widespread the rain is going to be with this. The Red River essentially from Grand Forks through Oslo, Drayton, Pembina, very high levels. We have quite a bit of rain heading towards those areas. The Cheyenne River has been a trouble spot. Valley City and points north, not as much lately, with a little bit of room possibly up at the reservoir there, but anywhere downstream from Valley City, we have a lot of water that's been moving through places like Lisbon, where I went through today, Kindred as well. Those rivers are pretty swollen. Continued tornado warnings, the Highway 10 corridor here of Ottertail County. We just talked about that from the areas in and around Perham all the way down towards New York Mills. Wadena County, tornado warning for Wadena, the city, and also Sabika just to the north and northern parts of Wadena County. Garden variety thunderstorms right now up to the north, and if we go ahead and show you a look at what our threats are, these storms now are making their way closer to the Mayville radar, and I had mentioned that I'd be able to give you a little bit of a wind estimate for the north-south flow. Let's take a look at the north winds that are blowing into Fargo right now. Take a look at this. I filter off all the wind except things that are severe winds. And again, this is off the ground. This is not necessarily what you're going to measure on your wind device or anemometer in town, but this is green. That means the wind is blowing from south to north straight towards the Mayville radar. There's Mayville. So that's the direction of this wind that it's measuring. Now the wind direction out of the storm might be a little bit this way, but the direction that's being measured is that way, and let's get a reading on the velocity here. So I'm going to turn off a couple of layers so I can see a little better. And again, this is going to be a wind that's happening just off the ground. That doesn't mean it's on the ground, but it certainly does not mean it couldn't mix down to the ground. So where we're seeing these winds here, see if I can pop up some 67 mile per hour winds. Oh, my computer's in the way. Allow me. There we go. So some of these green spots here could be a little bit more than that, but we have winds to the magnitude of around 70 miles per hour being measured by Doppler radar, not estimated, measured by Doppler radar, blowing directly toward the Mayville radar. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less, depending on the direction of the wind, but this is called a radial velocity that's on the radio right toward the radar, 67 mile per hour, right toward the radar. So prepare for gusts that could be happening right now or at any time. This is just off the ground, okay? The hail and the rain, once that starts hitting the roof here at the studios, then this wind can get mixed down or brought down to the ground pretty quickly. So we'll keep our eyes on that. So gusty straight line winds to the tune of 70 miles per hour appear to be flying over Fargo right now where we see the bright greens. Again, this is what's off the ground over our heads just a little bit. If that energy gets mixed down to the ground by the raindrops or brought down to the ground, we can have some winds in that ballpark again, right here in the FM area. So hopefully now in Fargo, you're in your safe spot. You're staying away from windows. Very gusty straight line winds will be heading our way. And you can see that they're focused pretty well right over Fargo, Moorhead, Dilworth, and Glendon at this hour. So those peak winds are taking place there. If we get too far away from the radar site here, then we're looking real high in the clouds, and that information that I'm showing you becomes a little bit less useful as far as the magnitude of the winds that we could be measuring. So huge area of thunderstorm warning now. Looks like it does include Fergus Falls. It includes Fargo. Hey, thank you. I'll take a drink. It's probably been 10 minutes.
We did record, when you're taking a sip there, Hutch, I'll say we got a report. It's about 15 minutes old of a funnel cloud in Wrightstown. That's Ottertail County. So that was from that storm earlier in Ottertail County. That was tornado warned, and there was a funnel cloud observed with that storm there.
Okay, so we're getting some storm reports filtered in. Again, I want to point out the size of the thunderstorm warning. It does include Fargo, Moorhead. You're looking at this color here, this red. That's heavy rain. That's going to be moving into town now from the south. So if you're in Oxbow, if you're in Wild Rice, you're probably hearing that rain getting pretty heavy. That's moving in. Once that moves in, the wind is going to pick up here pretty immensely as we head into the next 5 minutes or so. It looks like it's right on our doorstep. We do have continued tornado warnings for the small little guy out there near Perham. I'm going to pull this up here over into Ottertail County and Wadena County and take a quick peek at that. And I do believe it's going to start getting a little noisier here in places like Fargo, Moorhead, and Rossay. There are some good signs on the radar image, and I'm going to explain that to you right now. Here is the leading edge of the storms. This is where we have the strong winds. It's now between the Perham and New York Mills area, and it's north of Highway 10. Still showing signs of rotation, and it's still strong. You see the deep reds there. That is a strong cell. All of this that the radar is seeing on the backside, it looks like very, very heavy rain, but we're not seeing a lot of the reds, which would be indicative of that higher reflectivity from things like large raindrops or maybe even hailstones. So our hail threat is diminishing. What can happen when we get into these rain fields, we call that a wake low, and when that happens, we can really get some enormous wind speeds still out of these storms. So we are getting reports of tree damage in and around Ottertail County, and wind gusts measured over 70 miles per hour across the valley tonight in the southern Red River Valley, as a matter of fact. Active tornado warnings along this leading edge here for the Perham area continues for a little bit longer, and Wadena County. And that storm looks like in Wadena County that it is splitting and breaking up a little bit, so that's another good sign with that one. And we'll take you in just a little bit more here. So you got New York Mills with a tornado warning that is in effect until 8:15, so for about the next 9 minutes or so here, and then it's going to be moving out of that area. It's still pretty robust, and it's still got some spin, but it looks like the rotating part of the storm and the beef of the storm is mainly just a little bit north of the not interstate, Highway 10 there. And it is. There is the greens next to the reds. There's your rotation. Now we've got kind of uniform winds that are probably likely all from the south or southwest right now, moving across Highway 10. So New York Mills, Perham, a lot of very, very strong winds are blowing through your area, and you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning for considerable risk for winds around 70 miles per hour, the straight line variety. Wadena County, the rotating part of this storm really is it looks like it's way up here, and it's kind of looking to me like it's become a lot less organized here over the last couple of scans. And just so that I can confirm that, I'll go back a couple of scans. Okay, so here is a look at 7:54, and the storms were just pushing in. Go back just a little bit more just to confirm. So as the storms pushed in, there was some bright, vibrant greens and reds next to each other, and that zipped through the county pretty quickly, and it is starting to exit on the north side, not far from Monaga. So I do think that most of the risk in Wadena, oh, they just shaved the warning there as we're speaking. So Wadena, the city of Wadena, you are no longer under the tornado warning. That risk is really moving into the northern reaches and even maybe more north of this, but this area here is still under a tornado warning, still a sliver of a warning left, but this area is still rotating pretty quickly or pretty tightly in the northern reaches of the Ottertail County area. That'll be crossing into southern parts of Becker County here shortly, and we'll see if the tornado warning does continue for that area near Height of Land Lake and heading towards the Park Rapids area. So we'll keep you apprised of that as we go through. And again, Fargo sounds really quiet outside to me. I'm not hearing a lot of thunder and lightning. And I'm not hearing the wind hit the top of the studio here like a lot of times when we get a windy thunderstorm come through. So it's just now getting to us. So
yeah,
it's
got a report from West Fargo of pea-sized hail in West Fargo.
Okay. Okay. So from Fargo to Castleton, and as you take a look westbound on I-94 here, you're seeing some reds. So you get out towards Fargo, Mapleton, Castleton. We have some more heavy rain, and the reds are more pronounced here. We do have some very heavy rain taking place not far from that Goose River area there in Hillsboro, and then basically Lake Ashtabula getting a deluge right now. So that Cheyenne River Valley is picking up a lot of rain. Jamestown, Stutsman County, north and west of town, north of, say, Cleveland, we're seeing a pretty strong storm there, and a lot of very heavy rain in Sargent and Ransom counties.
And near Airedale, there in Grant County, got a report of several semi-trucks flipped over along I-94.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was at 8:06 p.m.
So if you recall, when the Grant County tornado warning came out, we were talking about Dalton, and the wind with that storm caused in Airedale several semi-trailers to be toppled on Interstate 94. So, truckers driving through the area maybe not aware of the magnitude of the winds that we were expecting from tonight's storms, and those high-profile vehicles, and you mix that with 70 or greater mile per hour wind gusts, and that's not a good combination. Now those winds are moving up into Lakes Country and Becker County here shortly as we take a look at the leading edge of the storms. Got a huge area of a severe thunderstorm warning. Here's our plan. The storms are going to make their way into Fargo. We're going to keep you covered there, and I can hear the thunder and lightning a little bit. I'll go ahead and turn on my lightning display so you can see a little bit about the magnitude of the lightning that's going on tonight. And it's really just now entering into the Fargo area from the south. These have been some noisy thunderstorms in northwest Minnesota, just non-severe. The atmosphere up there just a lot less unstable. We were a lot less stable down in the south today, and that is now starting on this east side to exit our viewing area there. And this is going to be our main event right in here that continues to make its way northward.
Stephen, Minnesota. I got a video in there from Stephen, Minnesota of just showing how heavy that rain is that's been going there.
Okay.
You can see some ground flooding there in Stephen.
All right.
A viewer there said, I believe 0.86 inches in about 15 minutes or so.
Okay, yeah, so northwest Minnesota, there, Marshall County, a lot of rain. We got the anemometer spinning there, so Steve keeps his eyes on the weather, or Michael in Stephen keeps his eyes on the weather. Thank you so much. You can see the ponding of the water there as our saturated soils are taking on yet even more. We certainly appreciate all your photos. We certainly appreciate all of your reports that you're giving us. We do have some reports of some damage in and around the Fergus Falls area, also parts of Richland County, hearing some damage reports there. Lakes County, and now in and along Airedale on I-94, getting reports of some semi-trailers toppled by the gusty straight line winds, possibly a tornado, because there was a tornado warning that was in that area as it worked its way through. Here's the leading edge with all the lightning there. We have a lot of thunder and lightning making its way towards Fargo. As we head into the next little bit here, it should be making its way through town. We have active tornado warnings continuing, small, but still there. The plan is this: we're going to check Fargo, we're going to see what's coming through, we're going to get you through this, because there have been, measured with this line of storms, over 70-mile-per-hour winds when those storms move through places like Richland County. And then off to the east, we're going to keep our eyes on that risk over to the Wadena County area. So allow me to load my computer up. I think I need to give the computer a drink of water. There we go. Okay, it's refreshed now. Huge thunderstorm warning from northern Ottertail County through all of Becker, Clay, parts of Cass, and it does reach up into Norman County and Mahnomen County for you in Natawash, and also up towards Mahnomen itself. So this line of storms still capable of producing some pretty gusty straight line winds. Again, the wind velocities that we're seeing with the storms as they were just over Fargo now moments ago. I think we just lost some power on a couple more things as we're getting some power glitches from lightning and from wind making its way through the region right now. 70+ mile-per-hour winds. The hail threat is really diminishing, although we did get a 1-inch report of hail in and around the Valley City area. But the wind, the straight line wind, has been the main culprit and threat.
Speaking of that wind, I got a viewer photo now from Wahpeton of a tree uprooted, if you wanted to.
Okay, yeah, we did get reports in Wahpeton of city damage in there, so thank you, Nathan, for taking care of that. Let's see. All right, well, I think there was, maybe it's my computer, it's just not being very happy right now.
Let me try over here.
Yeah. Jason sent in a picture of a tree that was down there. We may need to, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay, super. Thank you. I don't know what was wrong there. Sometimes your computer, if you've ever had a computer that you've worked real hard, today our computer has earned a break. Trees down, okay, you can see the roots uprooted, and that is a large diameter trunk tree there that has been felled by these strong winds. And you know what, with all of the wet soils that we have around here from a very, very wet end to winter and all spring long with several inches of rain, that has been a problem as well. So,
you got to close out of that one.
Oh, it's the, you
I had to open the scene, yeah.
Oh, I
there
got
you go, now you're in it.
Okay. I didn't know what I was looking at there. Okay, so the radar does show that we have, oh, and that this has changed too. Storm risk that we talked about today. We were in a moderate risk for severe storms. That has now been dropped to an enhanced risk, it looks like. So where you see the orange colors here, the Storm Prediction Center says that we have an enhanced risk of severe weather in the orange areas, and the yellow areas a slight risk of severe weather. It does appear to me that our winds and what I'm hearing outside in the FM area, as this main leading edge has passed us just a little bit to the north. I'm going to confirm that on the Skycam real quick. We got one active tornado warning, and then my plan will be to throw it back to a break here and get you caught up, and we will keep you updated through the evening. But the good news is I'm seeing a little bit of a breaking up of our storm's organized nature right now. And even as it's made its way up into Fargo, that organization has fallen apart a little bit. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning in Fargo. You should still be staying away from windows. Notice the text on your screen says that there is a tornado possible. That's because of the rotation and spin along the leading edge of the storm. So we're going to make sure that our winds are looking what they're looking like over Fargo right now. Yep, we still got really, really strong winds. So where you see the greens, we've got winds aloft just above the ground that are in excess of 60 miles per hour. Anywhere you see greens there, Georgetown and whatnot. I can tell you personally that outside the station right now, I'm not hearing the gusty winds like that would indicate making its way down to the ground. So that's a good sign as well. As we scan the skies over the FM area, we have a lot of rain, and I am looking across just to see. On the north side there is, see that low cloud there? That there is called a roll cloud, okay? And that is where the gust front would be. See how low that guy is to the ground there? So that cloud is rolling along with the leading edge of the storm. So you're looking at the leading edge of the outflow from the storm right there. And I think what's happened here, folks, is that that the thunderstorm above us has collapsed, and that is the outflow from it right there. You're looking at that roll cloud where that burp of cold air from the cloud is pushing north. The winds with it above the ground there at cloud level are upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So in any one of those spots, any one of those spots along that line, we could have 70-mile-per-hour gusts hit down toward the ground. But the good news is we're not seeing a deluge of rain behind it to feed or to continue that outflow from the storm the way it looks. So that's my thought on the storm as it's making its way through the FM area and looking at what we're seeing here in town. And as we look at the radar elsewhere, we'll get you caught up on the tornado warning and make sure once that is expired, we're going to get you to break, and we're going to get Hutch a drink of water and Nathan, and we'll all get you caught up. But it does look like we have our severe thunderstorm warning here for this broad area. I'm going to stop it from looping. Severe thunderstorm warning, that's 70-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible in any area along this leading edge. Looks like there's a lot of heavy rain still to come to Fargo, but you know what I was seeing, that little roll cloud that's rolling through the north side of town or whatever, we're not seeing rain and heavy rain here at the studios right now to support that. So the storm is kind of becoming a little less organized. The warning does continue though, and it continues until 8:45 tonight. We could still see some hail in spots along there. I'm not really seeing a lot of evidence of that locally here. And the fantastic news is all tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. These storms, as they work their way north at a very fast clip, will continue to produce a threat for gusty straight line winds. That'll be the primary threat. We could see some hail up to around 1 inch in diameter. And we could see a spin up along the leading edge of these storms as they work their way northward. If you've had these storms pass through your area and you have reports of damage, you can pass them along.
At 8:14 p.m. had a report of a funnel cloud in the Park Rapids area, Hubbard County.
8:14.
Yes.
Park Rapids in Hubbard County had a funnel cloud work its way over. And that was the one that was making its way through the Monaga area real quickly. It peaked up into Hubbard County. Thank you for that report, Nathan. And that would be right here. And you can see Hubbard County right here. Park Rapids is right where Hutch's finger is. That thing split apart now. So we do have a little bit of remnants of that storm that's over parts of Becker County, just east of the Detroit Lakes area. So Pine Point area and Park Rapids. So if we roll the clock back to around 8:14, which is the time that that funnel cloud was witnessed, look how fast it moved. So here's where they probably saw the funnel cloud. See that little kind of hook shape? That's called a hook echo.
3 miles south of town.
3 miles south? That's probably exactly where it was then. So kind of a hook shape from this storm in the Pine Point area that wrapped around from Monaga, and that might explain why at 8:14 they saw a funnel cloud from the Park Rapids area. Pine Point, though, as we advance this now and show you that that is still working its way through. If we look at the velocities on this, you can see we still have some reds there, and here is some spin right near the Pine Point area. There's no tornado warning remnant anymore, but we did have a viewer and a report of a funnel cloud not far from Park Rapids to the south. And this little storm here near Height of Land Lake still showing some signs of shear or spin in it. All right, we are going to get you back to your regularly scheduled programming. You can expect that we will keep you up to date with the latest. When the storms make their way to your area, we'll let you know. If a warning comes out, we'll let you know. We still have Eric Whitehill. Looks like they are, yep, they're right back in town. If you want to take their video feed as we go out, they are riding into Moorhead right now on 75, it looks like, working their way into town. And they too will be back. It's dark skies in and around the area. We'll keep you posted to all of your, well, maybe they're not in Moorhead. See, as we look at that, I'm not sure that, oh, there's the frying pan. Well, I'll tell you what, they are working their way back to home. We'll have your hour-by-hour forecast tonight. We'll continue to track storms for you. We appreciate all your feedback tonight. But for now, until next time, as storms approach, prepare for gusty straight line winds will be the main threat. Some hail up to an